Hello, welcome to Marion's Game Room. I'm Aaron as always, and on this channel, we tend to just kind of go over games that I've either recently purchased or played, or games that are sort of thematically appropriate to the season or a recent holiday or something like that. I'm not really good about going over new hot topic games, mostly because I'm usually not buying hot games right as they're coming out and all that. Games are usually out for a good while before I decide to get one. And I'm also not super great about doing the classic games that kind of most people have in their collection. I have gotten better about buying a lot of those ones, and I really enjoy them. But I don't know why I don't do a lot of videos on those. But today, I'm actually going to do one that I believe is considered kind of one of those classics. It's certainly a name I had heard a lot before I purchased. At the last Token Con, I purchased Lost Cities, the original card game. And spoilers for later, I'm probably going to end up getting rid of it at the next Token Con. Now, I believe the reason it's called the original card game is because there are other versions of Lost Cities, but the first one, the original one, I believe was the card game, thus the subtitle name. I'm pretty sure. I probably should have done my research more before I came into this. But in Lost Cities, it is simply a card game where two players, no more than two, unfortunately it's just a two-player game, are each playing researchers going on expeditions around the world. But expeditions are not free. They are not cheap. In fact, they are quite expensive. So every time you start an expedition, of the 5 possible ones you can start, you end up instantly going into the negative, and you now have to sort of earn your way up into the positive. You have to find enough on this journey, travel deep enough into it to actually come out ahead in any way. The winner of the game by the end is whoever ends up having the most points, collecting the most money, I guess you could say, on the various expeditions they decide to go on. Yeah, let's go ahead and get to the table and show you guys how it's played. Checking out the box real quick before I open it. I don't believe this is quite the most recent edition. Yeah, unfortunately there's some damage on this one when I bought it. I don't believe this is the most recent edition. The most recent edition, I believe, comes with an expansion included in it. Mine is still just the base game, but taking it out, you're going to open up this board with these 5 slots here and place it in between you and the other player. And then you'll simply take out all of these cards here and give this deck a quick shuffle. After you've given each player their 8 cards, you'll just set the deck nearby the board here so you can draw from it throughout the game, and we're good to start going from there. Rules state that the oldest player starts the game. Now, this game is overall fairly simple in that there are 5 different suits or 5 different colors that the cards can come in: red, green, white, blue, and yellow. And each of those colors has cards numbered from 1 to 10, as well as a few of these wager cards, I call them. And there are only 1 of each of the cards. There's no doubles of anything except for the wagers, which I believe there are 3 of each of those. But otherwise, oh no, sorry, 2 through 10. Don't want to lie to you, not 8 through 10, 1 through 10, 2 through 10. So simply 2 through 10 in each color, 1 of each of those, and 3 of the wager cards. On your turn, you are simply going to either play a card from your hand in front of one of these expeditions. Both players can start their own little journeys in each color. But yeah, let's say, for example, my first turn, I want to start the red journey. I might play this 2 right here. Now, I don't have to play the 2. Playing the 2 is just a good idea because in this game, whenever you add to an expedition that you've already started, you can only play higher numbers. So, if by some really stupid chance I happen to play this 9 there on a later turn, I could never play this 8 now. This 8's useless to me. I can't play it here because I can only play things higher than 9. So, generally, you want to start with as low as you can and then try and keep the numbers as tight as you can. But the are on a limited time. There's a ticking timer for the game as you're playing until the deck runs out. And once the deck runs out, that's the end of the round or game, depending on kind of how you're going about it. As soon as the last player draws the last card from the draw pile, that's it. It's not like you take one more turn or anything. Once that last card is picked up, that is game. So, you are on a ticking timer what you're doing. So on your turn, you can either play a card to an expedition and then draw a new one, of course, to replace it. Or you can discard a card to the center and draw a new one. Again, both players will be playing on each of their own side. The only thing that's shared here in the game are these center discard piles. If you're not playing a card to your thing, you're discarding a card away. So again, on your turn, you'll either play a card to one of your expeditions or discard a card, and then you'll always draw a new card. You can either draw from the top of the deck, or you can pick up the top card of any one of these discard piles. So for my turn, if I decide to discard away this blue one, I might decide to go ahead and pick up this green one that my opponent discarded and add to my hand. Now, let's go over these wagers real quick before we go any further. Now, like I said, there are 3 wagers of every color. Wager cards basically act as multipliers to your final score. But if you remember what I kind of said in the beginning of the game, as soon as you start an expedition, play your first card in it, that's starting an expedition, you instantly put yourself in the negative as far as points are concerned for the end of the game. And you have to earn your way out of it, which means it's possible to not earn enough points to reach the positive again, but your multiplier is still going to hit. So if you don't end up reaching the positive and you have some wagers on that expedition, you might end up actually multiplying your negative score and get deeper into the hole. But wager cards, there's 3 in each color. These have to be played first. Once you start playing any numbers on that expedition, that color, you can't play any wager cards anymore. So this green one I can go ahead and play because I haven't played anything down. Let's go show it. So because I have not started a green expedition, I could play this wager down. If I had more of those green wager cards, I could play even more. You could play up to all 3 if you collect them all, but you can't play any more after you start placing numbers down. As soon as I put something on top of it, I can't place any more wagers. Like if I end up drawing out the red wager, can't do anything with it because I've already started the expedition. But yes, you can place these down before you start placing numbers to multiply your final score at the end. And really, that's it for basic gameplay. On your turn, you're simply adding a higher number to one of the piles you've already started, starting a new one by adding a number or a wager down, or you're simply discarding stuff away to the center. And again, you'll always end your turn after playing a card or discarding a card by drawing either a new card from the top of the deck or the top of one of the discard piles. Lastly, one more time again, just to reiterate, the game ends as soon as the last card is drawn. No final turns about it. As soon as the last card is picked up, that is game. Now, strategies aside, the game is relatively simple so far. Again, just playing a higher number down or maybe doing some gambling with those wager cards. Super simple otherwise for the gameplay, but once we hit the scoring part, that's when the game becomes not so simple. At this point, it technically says you should play 3 games to get your final score. You don't have to. We've never really done that. I think we pretty much just play 1 and get our final score and call it there. But the rules do say that if you want to do a full-length game, you should basically play, add up your score, then shuffle the cards back together and repeat the process 2 more times to have a final winner. But let's go over this scoring for the game. So the game scoring certainly isn't just like adding up your cards and then being done. No. You can see there are several little things you go into. The first thing you'll do each time is you'll end up adding together all of the cards that you played into a color. Let's just go on the little half one I've got it so far. Basically right here I've got 17, 18, 19. So my initial sum for red is 19. That will be my little first number here, or as you see it there. And then going down. Like I mentioned earlier a couple times now, is that starting an expedition is expensive. So under every color that you have played at least 1 card, you instantly lose 20 points. So this red one didn't even come out ahead. I ended up only with, again, 17, 18, 19 points. So that means technically I got a -1 on this expedition. I lost a point on that expedition. I didn't explore enough. But if you don't have any started at all, there's nothing there, then that doesn't cost you anything. You didn't start the expedition, so it's fine. Also, sorry if you guys are hearing that weird noise. I've got some guys doing construction and maintenance outside. So you only lose points for things that you placed any card on. Wagers count as well. Okay, here's a little more normal what my final inboard might end up looking more like at the end of a game if things didn't quite go great for me. Basically, again, you're going to add up all your stuff and then lose 20. So for this one right here, I'm getting -1 points. For this one, I'm getting 11, 12, 13, minus 20. So I'm with -7. And because I have a wager there, that means I have to actually multiply it by 2, so that means I end up with -6 points for on the wager cards. Placing 1 wager card is a ×2 multiplier, placing 2 wager cards is a ×3, and placing 3 wager cards is a ×4. So it's always one more than the how many wager cards you played down. All right, starting number, we have 10, 18, oh my lord, plus 10 giving me 28, minus the 20 giving me +8 times 2, so 16. So my final score for this game would end up being, so basically I'm going to have 16 minus 7 giving my final score to only be 9. That's a pretty low scoring game. There's one more thing going on to it, is also if you end up getting 8 or more cards into one column, you get an extra 20 points, but I did not end up with that in any of my things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, so. And that's scoring. I said scoring gets a little complicated, especially with that -20. That -20 can be really harsh, and the fact that the wagers can end up pushing you into the negative can also be really harsh for this game. Trying to get to like a back room, maybe away from that noise for a bit, so I can do my final bits of the game. Overall, I don't dislike the game. I know I said at the beginning that I'm going to get rid of it. I do like the game perfectly fine in general. I will say that anytime you're using cards, there's always luck involved. And the first game we played, luck was not on my side, and I got absolutely decimated. And that did leave kind of a bitter taste in my mouth for being the first time I played the game, just to get beaten so badly. But overall, I do actually technically like the game. Those negatives can be really harsh, though. And on some level, that does add some level of fun. It's fun that there is that risk. A little bit of risk in the game can be fun and all that. But again, since I think those negatives are kind of harsh, that can make those wagers be kind of harsh as well. Like I just said, you put down a wager or two because you think you're going to make a good run for it, and then you just can't get like one card you need to kind of get you a few more points to play it. So if you're like holding these big cards forever, and it is very much a game of chicken when you're going to start playing your cards down, because like I said, the game ends immediately once that last card is picked up. So the end of the game doesn't like necessarily sneak up on you per se, where you just didn't know it was happening. Oh man, suddenly it's over. But like, it's not necessarily, the game does feel a little rushed to some extent, which again, should be a good thing about it. It's also this fine. I just think it's something that will be a turn off to some people. It's something that we kind of had to play the game a couple of times before we were like, no, this is fine, this is good. There just are lots of things that could go against you that can be really frustrating if the game's not going your way. Oops, sorry there. Now I'm making my own noise. The whole playing 3 games thing, that's something we've really felt the need to do. You could do it, there's no problem if you're going to play it. We tend to like just playing the 1 and then ending it, but sure, whatever, play 3. There's really no opinion on that part of it. That's just your preference on what you want to do for the game and all that. I will say, because the scoring at the end gets a little complicated, it does take what is a really simple game at the top, just playing down a higher number than the last one you had. Super simple game. It makes it where it's a little less like kid friendly and all that. It's not like every game needs to be for kids or anything, but the very simple premise of just play down a higher number is something that I think would be good to kind of play with little kids, as just sort of counting up and all that. But because of the end, you then have the whole -20 on top of it. I don't think many younger kids would successfully play this game ever. I believe the recommended age is 14 and up, and that's got to entirely be because of strategy reasons. Because gameplay wise, sure, there's no reason that a younger kid couldn't play this game, but the fact that, again, the strategy to it all and the scoring at the end, the scoring is not complicated. The scoring just adds of complication that it's not a simple strategy for the kids anymore. It's not just play down a few things. Kids are probably going to play amongst all 5 colors, and that's just going to set them way into the negative. I do think there's a lot of... I do understand why this is a classic game and all that. It is simple, it's very competitive, it really gets in your head. It can be just a nightmare when you think you can discard something away safely, but then your opponent, takes you by surprise and picks up the card, or you just can't seem to draw that one card you need, and finally, after you finally decide to skip past it, screw it, I just won't worry about the white 4, then your opponent discards it. They've been holding the whole time, and it has a lot of these big emotion moments that are super fun and all that. The only reason I'm not keeping it is because, by happenstance, I actually ended up buying a similar game a little bit before I bought this game. Dang it, my cat. Basically, I bought another game from West Coast Games called Desperate Oasis, which is a very similar style game. You're playing down these number cards on sort of two opposite sides, two-player game. It is very much a different. They're not the same game by any means, but they're just sort of both very similar in their playing numbered cards down on each side, trying to get like a high value. It's the basics, they're the same. And they're similar enough that we feel they kind of landed the same niche. And anytime we were going to sit down to play a game like that, my wife and I just both agreed that we'd rather play Desperate Oasis. So, because of that, Lost Cities is going to end up getting sold and rehomed to a good, loving family who will hopefully love this game as much as it deserves to be loved. I don't think it's a bad game. I just think that we have found a game that, again, we happened to find earlier first that we like a little better. Lost Cities is a game that if it's not already known as a classic, like I think it is, I think it someday will be known as one as long as it maintains its popularity, because it is a good game. And I think a lot of people, especially adults who are into very competitive games and all that, kind of mind games without being super strategic. There is, again, luck based on cards, but there is very much strategy in it as well. It's almost a gambler's game. I do think that there are a lot of people who would really love this game. And again, I think we would too if we didn't just try and keep our niches from getting too full. The gameplay, while simple, the unfortunately not so simple scoring and all that, which makes the overall strategy of the game not so simple. For adults, I guess we'll say this is Baron approved. Oh, it says 10 and up. Yeah, I disagree with that. For adults, we'll say Baron approved. For kids, absolutely Baron does not approve. So as an overall, again, I guess since we're not keeping it, I think this one's going to land at sort of that Baron okays it. It's middling for us. But for the right people, I think you're going to love it. Lost Cities.